The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
And welcome in. It's in-game live game day on a fabulous Thursday evening. Scott Wetzel, Joe Madden for the next 2 glorious hours, right up until 10 p.m. Eastern time, watching betting on the world of sports. Ah, yes, college basketball. Now we're starting to get into a lot of the fun conference tournaments. College basketball, little NBA, got a full slate of hockey tonight, Joe. We got Colby Dant, the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He always joins us. Got Jeff Dawson, EastCoastSportsInvestors.com. We got our good buddy Cam Stewart in the final hour. SGPs, the whole kit and caboodle, Black Cloud. So should be a fun 2 hours. What's going on tonight, Joe? How are you this evening?
I'm doing pretty good, Scott. Excited for today's slate of action tonight. We've had some great games today. I don't know if you caught that double overtime with Texas and Texas A&M, but it was a fantastic battle out there with Texas, a 6.5-point dog, getting the outright win. So that was a great game. A loaded action right now happening. Texas Tech dominating over Baylor, up 52-39 at the half, and then a loaded day on the ice. We've actually got the Ottawa Senators up 4-1 over the Boston Bruins. Tons of action out there, Scott. Tons of places we can jump in live and make some money on these games. How's your day started?
Hey, not too bad. The big picture is I was refereeing with one of the leading or head referees in our little organization here on Long Island, right? And I'm thinking, oh my God, this is going to be disastrous. I'm going to make every little mistake in the world, right? This is going to be just brutal. I'll never get another assignment for the rest of my life. So that actually went well. So that, I got a little pyramid, Joe, of like things that are most important to me. And today that was it, right? So that actually went well. So no matter what else happens, I'm kind of in the clear. But my better plays haven't won, but the other plays have, and I had more other plays to compensate for the less best bets, if that makes any sense to you. Got lucky. I was out, I told you, refereeing, right? I had Xavier plus 2.5. Couldn't watch the game, obviously. I come back home and I see they lose by 2. Is there anything more beautiful than getting a cover by the hook when you're only getting 2.5 and your team loses? I know that stinks when you bet the favorite, Joe, but I tell you what, and it doesn't happen too often for me. When I bet the underdog and they win, the bet, but lose because of only 2 points. Oh, that's a beautiful thing. So we had that, had a bunch of overs that have come through. Iowa, Illinois, this Texas Tech game that's going on right now is going to sail by the numbers. So, long story short, overall, a betting day in which you'll take. You lose some, you win some. In the end, we're basically even heading into the nighttime action. So hopefully we can go over the hump with the nighttime plays.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got tons of action out there, Scott, for us to start betting on. I know you're going to have your Black Cloud today, which I can't wait to hear what you're on because, correct me if I'm wrong, you cashed it again last night.
We did. We did. What do we have last night? Over Montana, Northern Colorado, right? Strong trends for both. And it sailed by the number. At halftime, they had about 80 points or so. And I think the number was 147, 146 and a half, depending on, where you did your shopping. So that was an easy winner. So, 12-1 with our last 13 plays with the Black Clouds. So we were joking. I was saying, and I'm serious. I'm kind of serious. It's almost time for me to bet the opposite of the opposite Black Cloud. This way, the Black Cloud still wins. If that means, you got to take a step back now. So it's opposite of the opposite play. And this way, the Black Cloud continues to win because, at 12-1, it's on a pretty good streak. Make any sense?
Sort of. The opposite of the opposite is, right? Like, what is the opposite of the opposite? What's the definition?
Equal positive?
Yeah.
I don't
exactly.
know. Insanity. That's what it is. Insanity. It's like stupidity is what it is. In the end, just bet what you think's going to happen. So, but we've had a good little streak with that. Hockey's not going too well so far tonight. Took a couple of flyers. I did something, every once in a while I get the urge to do something stupid. And I've done this before and it didn't work out, but it just kind of like jumped off the page for me. And that is to parlay two teams to not have a goal in the first 5 minutes. And it's just like, you know what? You got a low score in Florida, Toronto, Boston, Ottawa should be low scoring. Tampa Bay hasn't been able to buy a goal, low scoring. St. Louis, Pittsburgh should be low scoring, right? And in the end, I think like 5 out of the 6 games all had a goal in the first 5 minutes. So go figure. But hopefully we'll make amends with that with our super trends of the evening. So this is the play where we give you 5 trends, Joe, and whether they turn out positive, negative. It's not kind of nice to keep track of these things because I do buy into some trends. So we went 2 and 3 yesterday. We went 4 and 1 on Tuesday with the trends. And these aren't even really suggested plays by me and Joe. It's just trends that are just best trends. You want to buy into them, great. If you don't, okay, I understand. But if you want trends, then these are it. So here are our Super 5 for tonight. Games have yet to get underway. Oklahoma and I do like this one, I must say. Oklahoma and Kentucky over 161.5 is the play. Oklahoma is 20-13 over. Kentucky is 19-14 over. So 2 pretty good over teams. Both can put scores, and you're getting a super low number, 161.5. That one I really do like, and I am going to play. So that's one. How about UC Riverside is 11-1 their last 12 meetings against Cal Poly. UC Riverside tonight is only a 4-point favorite. I'm just going to lay the juice minus 205 on the money line. 11-1 is 11-1. If you got to put it in a parlay, go ahead. But boy, it should be UC Riverside winning tonight against Cal Poly. Nevada, Colorado State. This is a pretty good one, too. Well, they're all good. That's why they're on the list. 19-6 over their last 25 meetings. That's a monster over, and you're getting a pretty low number, over 138.5 tonight, Nevada, Colorado State. One more in the college world. How about Mount St. Mary's and Marist? Mount St. Mary's this year, 19-10 against the spread, while Marist is only 13-18. And Mount St. Mary's is the better team, which, is always nice to have in your back pocket. And they're only laying 3.5. So the play tonight, Mount St. Mary's laying 3.5 against Marist. And then finally, the last one, this is a shocker. I don't think too many people would know this one, but NBA, Sacramento versus Golden State tonight. They don't win at Golden State. They're awful straight up. But against the spread, they're actually 15-4 against the spread. Their last 19 games at Golden State, you're getting 7.5, maybe 8 in some circles tonight. So the play is trend-wise Sacramento plus 7.5 at Golden State. So 4 colleges tonight and then 1 NBA game. What do you think?
A great way you're going with those trends, Scott. I love that one with Sacramento and Golden State. I already like that one to the under, and the Kings team total under 113.5. But I thought Golden State would not cover that large of a spread. It's just too many points for them, even though they're at home, because I think it's going to be a lower scoring one. So that is great. I am seeing Oklahoma and Kentucky. That total has dropped like 159.5 out there. So you're even getting a lower total, but I'm still really comfortable with that one. Where you're looking. So it should be a great matchup, great matchups out there. Nevada and Colorado, you're liking over, right?
Yes.
Colorado State. Okay.
Yes. Colorado. Yeah. The series is 19-6 over.
It's such a low total, right? Like I was looking at that going, why is it only 137.5, Scott? So that is a great one to the over as well.
Yeah, we're seeing a few more. When I get a moment tomorrow, I'm going to actually go back and double check. But you get a few more overs in these conference tournament games. Why? Just because this is the last game of the year for most of these teams. And there's just no giving up. You know, you're down 10 with 35 seconds left. What's the difference? Foul. You know, send them to the free throw line. So you're getting all these bonus points that you wouldn't normally get. College, you get that a lot anyway, but even more so. I can't tell you how many times I went back to the play-by-play and I saw games go over just because of that. So, I do look over Nevada, Colorado State. Just underway. In-game live, game day on the grid.
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in game live game day here on the grid. Just getting underway. Scott and Joe Madden until 10 p.m. Eastern time with a couple of decent little plays here, Joe, in college basketball. These are things you kind of look for, right, when you do in-game live for the most part. First up, I want to say I do love the Mississippi State over. We've been on this Missouri team, whether it's team total, game total. It is up to 166.5, which is a little bit more than what it was to start the game at 157.5. But I still I think we get 170 points. But so you could comment on that, when I throw the other game at you. The other two, really, you got Louisville as a double digit or close to it favorite against Stanford, and they're down 9. Louisville's now getting 2.5 with 15.5 minutes left. And then even better than that, you got Creighton, which I think was a 12.5, 13.5, if memory serves me right, favorite today against god-awful DePaul. And don't look now, but DePaul is leading by 15 early second half at the Garden. And Creighton's getting 4.5 plus 180 on the money line. What do you think about those games?
That was the one I had circled there, Creighton. I couldn't believe because, 12.5 point favorite, depending on when you got that line today. We did see it right around the 12.5 earlier, and it fell down to the 12. But I wasn't expecting Creighton to come out and stumble like this. DePaul shouldn't be leading this game 40-25. I expected the exact opposite out here, Scott. So you got to grab Creighton plus the 4.5 at minus 28 or straight up on the money line at plus 168. I do think they bring it within the number. I can't see DePaul pulling off this win here. Can you? Can you see DePaul actually winning this straight up?
Out of the two games, Joe, that would be the one where I would say no. I don't see DePaul. Like Stanford, Louisville, we've seen this happen quite a bit this postseason so far already. The desperate team is able to win these games. Texas, your Texas play this afternoon right against the Texas A&M. Many think Texas could be on the outside, one of the rare teams in the SEC that's on the outside looking in. What do? They win against a team that's pretty much secured in that large bid. Stanford is one of those bubble teams, definitely on the outside looking in. They need to win. Louisville doesn't. So I could see Stanford winning that one, but DePaul is just so bad, though. They're not even close to me. They're not a bubble team. They're not. What's before a bubble? I don't know. They're not even that. So I would go, Creighton. And I would take Creighton on the money line plus 140 just because they're down 13. They're going to make a run. I mean, they have to make a run. So it's not going to take a whole heck of a lot. Maybe cut this 14 or 13-point deficit to 6 or 7, and then they'll become a favorite again because they were that big of a favorite to start the game. So I would take them plus the 144 on the money line.
Yeah, I absolutely would as well. And I think it's going to take a while because of the pace of play that we're seeing out there for Creighton to get to that point. So you've got time to put this bet in, but I wouldn't wait too long because if that run happens quickly, Scott, we're really going to see those lines move. But I do think they come back, they get the straight out win. With Stanford, you're right. Stanford is the more desperate team. I grabbed them plus the 10.5 coming into this one versus Louisville. And I looked at Louisville and I do think they're the better team, but I think you also got to look at that. Like, how much do they need this win for one? And then two, should they be such a big double-digit favorite going into this? And I didn't think so. I thought maybe they win it by, 5 to 6 points, but I wouldn't be shocked with what we've seen for the start of this game for Stanford to be able to walk away with that win. So right now, Stanford's laying 7.5. I wouldn't jump on it, but I still don't like Louisville plus the 7.5 because Stanford, like you said, they've got so much more to play for out here, Scott.
Yeah, it's funny, Joe. I said the same thing to the guys on the podcast. I thought Louisville would win, but I didn't want to lay the 10.5. They're an awful against the spread team. They've been winning games, but they haven't been covering, especially by double digits. And I figured Stanford, the desperate team, would at least hang around. I didn't think they would be, leading by 15. I'll tell you that. But because of that, and seeing Louisville lay an egg, it's tempting. It is getting 7.5, but I don't like it. So let's stay away from that one. How about Illinois, Iowa? Holy fudge. 92-79 with 6.5 minutes left. That's 171 points. The in-game over-under is 201.5. Wow. I don't know. That's a lot of points. What do they got? 171, like I said. They might get there if it stays close enough for Iowa to be fouling. They're down 13 now. They got to get that below 10 points. And if that's the case, then I would go with the over. But if it stays, 12-15, then that final minute and a half, I don't know if they would be fouling in that situation.
Scott, did this make 160 at closing? I thought this one was right around 156, 158 and a half.
Yeah.
Or am I wrong?
Right around
Did
there,
it?
right.
Okay, yeah.
You know what? I gave it out as an over to my guys on the podcast. So let me see, because I wrote that stuff down. Now, this is this morning. I usually send these things out, especially today around 11 o'clock or so Eastern time. So this morning, let me go to the picks. It was where are we? 166 and a half. So it was pretty high.
Okay.
This morning anyway.
Yeah. That's so high. 201 and a half now. It's still going to get there, Scott. 6 minutes left. No one's having a bad shooting night in this game. Yeah.
Yeah. I bet it does. Because what I said before, if this was a regular season game, maybe they would call off the dogs either with a minute left. But, they're clearly a bubble team, and they figure, hey, what's the difference? Might as well foul. We lose by 12 versus losing by 15 or 17. What's the difference? We got to give ourselves. So you got to get a bunch of cheap points. So I bet it does go over too. Yeah. Crazy though. 201. It's amazing. An Illinois team, boy, sometimes they look like the best thing in the world, and other times they just look awful. Can't figure them out. So, but yeah, if you had to, right, over is the play. Did like the over 141 and a half Texas Tech Baylor, that goofy court that they're playing on. I can't watch the game. I swear. Between them and Oregon, I don't know if you've seen the court that they're using for the Big 12 championship. Oh, you talk about a headache. I might as well talk to the wife. It's just like, pick your poison. I mean, I forgot. I forgot who I'm working with. I can say that with Sheriff Pat. I got to be careful with you. I might as well talk to the dog. How about that? 60-48. 60-48 is the score. 100 points. 171 and a half is the total on that one. Which maybe she'll hop on early enough for that one.
Right. Yeah, I would hop on that one. What about Mississippi State versus Missouri? This one's sticking out to me. Missouri is leading this one 27-20. This had a total of 156 and a half. God, I want to know after the break if it's too high.
All right, I'll let you know when we come back.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
right, welcome back in Game Live, Game Day here on the Grid. Scott and Joe, hour number one. We're checking out the college basketball. Last left, you discussing Mississippi State and Missouri, Joe. And yeah, I do like the over in the game. I'm not sure. I don't know if FanDuel is messing up or there's been some kind of delay, but I've had 7 minutes and 57 seconds left in the first half, 28-20 Missouri for about 10 minutes now. So maybe I'll flip that on and figure out what's going on before we figure out make any bets. Usually if there's something going on, they would pull the bets off, but the bets are there, so maybe that game is just frozen for whatever reason. But with that, we got a little moment here. You know what time it is. Hour number one, 24-25 past the hour. Little SGP, same game parlay time. All right, Joe, I'll go first. This one you rack up to, if they're willing to play it, I'm willing to bet it. Why not? We're going to go to the ice out on the left coast, San Jose, where the two worst teams statistically in hockey square off. Who in their right mind with all the stuff going on tonight will be paying attention to Chicago at San Jose? We will, because if they're willing to play it, we're willing to bet it. Why not? And I'll take the Blackhawks. And you know what? We won our SGP on Tuesday, so we're playing with house money for the rest of the week. So let's go for the gusto here a little bit today. We're going to take not only the Blackhawks to win, Joe, we're going to take the Blackhawks to win in regulation at plus 155. We're going to go under. You know, Chicago's been playing some halfway decent defense. Their goaltenders playing either one, whoever it happens to be, both playing really well. So let's go under 6.5. Both teams to score minus 1,800, just to bump up the odds on the payout, which it actually did. We're going to go goal first 5 minutes. I told you I fell in love with that today. No, minus 2-1. And then the one that really kind of bumps it up to 11-1, the payout, Connor Bedard, 3 shots on goal. He's had 3 or more in his last 4 games. He's played San Jose. Chicago's played San Jose twice before. He's had 3 goals in each of the 2 games. So no reason to think he won't get 3 tonight. And if that's the case, add it all up. Blackhawks in regulation, under 6.5, no goal first 5 minutes, and both teams to score, and then the Bedard 3 shots on goal pays over 11-1. What do you think?
Ooh, I like that. 11-1. You've got to look at those rookies squaring up against each other as well, Scott. I love the look tonight because you've got Connor Bedard taking on Celebrini. So Connor Bedard, we know he's got a year under his belt, but these number 1 draft picks coming out, squaring up against each other, it's definitely a great way to go in this matchup. So I like where you're going there. For myself, I'm going to look at the matchup here between the Washington Capitals and the LA Kings. Now, I think we've got a fantastic matchup here between these two teams, one that should be defensive minded. We look at these teams, we look at the LA Kings at home, and I do think we're going to see them come in nice and strong and be able to lock down on the defensive side. So I'm going to take this one under 5.5 goals. I know the firepower on both sides, but I do think with our goaltending matchup, Charlie Lindgren versus Darcy Kemper, we're going to see that lockdown. So give me the under 5.5 for the first leg. This is a 4-leg parlay. I do think even though we're taking the under 5.5, which I normally don't like to do, I'm going to take players for their points tonight. I'm going to look here at the point for Ovi. It's coming in at minus 158. We know he was held off the board in that last game for his goal. I expect it via the goal tonight, but if he gets the assist, then we're covered with the point. I'm then going to look at Kempe and Kopitar of the LA Kings. These are 2 guys on the regular. Any given night, one's getting the goal, the other one's getting the assist. I love to parlay them separately for their points together. It's always coming in at plus money. Kopitar tonight for the points at minus 111. Kempe is coming in at minus 146. And again, on those lines together, on those power plays together, I think everyone has the ability of cashing with those guys for one the goal, one the assist. So let's take the points. So the under 5.5 goals, Ovi for the point, Kempe for the point, and Kopitar for the point. Scott, I was shocked at the value I'm getting on this. It's plus 15.96 for these 4 legs, and I really have a good feeling about them tonight.
Yeah, that's pretty good, Joe. I mean, considering you got 4 pieces, and 2 of them are decent odds. Minus the point at minus 158, and Kempe, minus 146. So 2 that are minus 150. We'll just say, if you put in 4 at minus 110 on a regular parlay calculator, it'll pay 10-1. So why they're giving you almost 16-1 on 4 in which 2 are favorites?
Yeah.
We mentioned this many times, right? Sometimes you put in like 20,000 pieces and it pays next to nothing. Then you put in just a couple and it pays, 16 to 1 when realistically it shouldn't. So, you know what? That's okay. We won't kick it back. That is for sure. So, good luck with yours. Good luck with mine. Colby Dan, college basketball talk coming up next here on the Grid.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live, Game Day on the Grid on a Thursday evening, 30 past hour number one. Scott and Joe until 10 p.m. Eastern time. Busy slate, including a full slate of college basketballs. All these good postseason tournaments are underway. So what better guy to talk to as we do from time to time, which is really quite a bit, actually. Our good buddy Colby Dant. You can listen to his podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, his show, the College Basketball Experience Podcast. What's going on, Colby? How are you tonight, bud?
I am great. Thanks for making time for me. But it's always, this is heaven right here. It's like that scene in Field of Dreams where he comes out, his dad comes out and says, "Is this heaven?" No, it's Iowa. No, it's March Madness. That's what it is for me. So I'm doing great. How you all doing?
Yeah, doing great as well. How did you find those day games? Which shocked you? Which didn't?
Well, early on, I actually had some tough beats, but then I had a great, after that first slate of games, I had a great day. But early on, I was, I took a shot on Bowling Green, took a shot on Indiana, had Butler in the points. So I was like, man, this could be a horrible day, but we bounced back pretty strongly with Wichita State and North Carolina and Charlotte and San Jose State and Colorado. So I bounced back. Texas money line, Longhorns money line was a great play. But that's probably the biggest headline I would say thus far is they probably just played their way into the NCAA tournament. And Boise State taking down the Aztecs. Two huge games with major bubble repercussions essentially.
Cole, we had two games about 5 minutes ago that were really one-sided. Now the team that was supposed to win is making a comeback, and you pick and choose if you would go on either one. Stanford was leading Louisville by double digits. Now they only lead by 4 with 9 minutes left, and it's back to pick 'em. Louisville a 10.5-point favorite to start the game, and then Creighton was down 15 to god-awful DePaul. That's down to 6 with 10.5 minutes left, and Creighton now is actually the favorite in that game. At this point, would you jump in on either one of those two dogs or favorites?
Well, the Creighton one scares me more. Like I actually think Stanford. I mean, I just because Creighton's offense, when they heat up, it doesn't matter the year. McDermott always has that thing. Like they can really reach a level that I don't think a lot of college basketball teams can get to when they're hot. So that's the one that would probably scare me. Or like if you're looking to buy in, I could see Creighton coming back and winning that thing outright. I mean, you can see Louisville as well, but I kind of like Kyle Smith's Stanford squad. I thought they were flying under the radar. I think the fact they played them that recently, just within the past 10 days, I thought was the angle on that. But yeah, so I think if you're going for the in-game situation, I think you play Creighton.
Anything in game here between Baylor and Texas Tech? This one closed at a total of right around 141.5. We're seeing both of these teams putting those points up on the board. Texas Tech leading 65-56, which has shot this total all the way up to 166.5. Are we going to see a slowdown? There's still 11 minutes left in the second half. So it's like 20 points over that original total, Kobe.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I'm baffled on all fronts here. I took Baylor in the points. Thought it'd be more of a game. Texas Tech's head coach Grant McCasland was an assistant under Scott Drew, and I like the angle of just the familiarity is so much that you're getting some points with Baylor. The total. You would think that they probably wouldn't shoot. Baylor's like shooting 18% from 3. That's gotta be better in the second half. I would just assume with the time left that they're due to have better numbers than that. So, yeah, maybe you jump on the over here, but I'll take Baylor in game here. I'm seeing it at 10.5 right now. I still think they're good for a run, and I think the familiarity between the two programs, can still pay off here down the stretch. I mean, you big possessions, they're probably going to be running similar stuff. They'll probably know what they're doing. So, yeah, I'll take the points in game with Baylor at 10.5. That I'm seeing right now.
All right, 4 monster games starting at 9:30 or later. Well, just to go into any order really. But Big East, Villanova, UConn, Connecticut laying 6.5 over Villanova, over under 134.5. What do you like there?
Yeah, I actually laid the points here. I know that it seems to be like the public side, but sometimes the public side hits. Look at North Carolina the past 2 days, or St. Louis earlier. But really, I think people are gonna, wake up to the fact that Dan Hurley's got this team playing pretty good ball. Now they're still not like national championship contenders in my eyes, but down the stretch, I think they have gone up a gear there. Villanova did get the benefit of doing the play-in game. Eric Dixon's been playing phenomenal all year, but I think with that crowd behind them, yes, it's a St. John's crowd, but when it's not St. John's, it's a UConn crowd. I'm going to lay the 6.5 with the Huskies. And remember, St. John's played at noon. So those fans those St. John's fans that would be rooting against UConn, I don't think they're in the stadium anymore. So yeah, I'll take the Huskies minus the points.
I love that look there. What about USC taking on Purdue? Purdue now laying double digits, laying 10.5 in this one, total 149.5, Kobe.
Yeah, I know this one's like USC is a team that I'm not the biggest fan of all year. They've been all over the place. Musselman's in year 1 brought in just a team of transfers. But I just can't lay this big of a number, even though it's in Indianapolis and it'll be a Purdue crowd. I mean, Purdue is just a team that down the stretch didn't look the greatest. Another thing is they're 265th in pace. Teams that are that slow in pace, take it back to Tony Bennett at Virginia or, Wisconsin some of those years. They rarely win by 20 points or something. They really blow teams out because the pace is so slow. It's almost like a triple option team in football. So I'll take the points with USC. And I do like the fact that they got the play-in game already and double overtime or whatever it was. So give me the Trojans plus the points. I don't think they're live on the money line, but I'll take the points.
Mm-hmm. SEC, pretty good battle. Kentucky laying 6.5 against Oklahoma. Over-under has actually dropped a point or so to 159.5.
Ooh, yeah. I mean, that makes me think. That makes me think the under's the play. But you know, the problem is here. Yeah, very strange. I thought it was going to go the other direction. The problem is this is the first year the SEC is doing the tournament in Nashville, and Lexington is very close to Nashville from like a fan. I mean, just Kentucky in general is not that far. I expect this to be like it's like you're going into Rupp Arena. So that as much as Oklahoma has been playing their way into the NCAA tournament and Kentucky went to Norman and won at the buzzer, in the past 2 weeks, I think it's a bad spot for Oklahoma with that crowd behind them. I'm going to lay that 6.5 with Kentucky as well.
Yeah, I like that look as well, Kobe. Looking at Clemson, we know how strong their defense is. SMU going to be able to hold it tight with them? We've got a spread of 6.5 there and a total of 142.5.
Yeah, I like laying it with Clemson. SMU is a team that, to me, anytime they played any team with a pulse, they've been terrible. We saw this game, it was being, in the past 2 weeks in Dallas, it was deemed the biggest game in the history of the program because SMU was fighting to make the NCAA tournament. And I guess you could say that again here, but this one's in Charlotte. Well, I think you'll have some Clemson fans there. Another thing is if SMU couldn't get them at their home stadium, I just think Clemson's a really good basketball team. They went to the Elite Eight a year ago. A lot of that team's production returned. And SMU, 23 wins. I don't know how they've done it. Kudos to them because they stepped into the ACC year one, but you look at the meat on the bone there. There's none. They haven't beat any good teams. So I'm just going to lay the 7.5 with Clemson as they're still jockeying for position and seeding. And with the Cooper Flag injury, I think you could say, hey, this ACC championship could be ours. I'll lay the number with the Tigers.
Real quickly, Kansas and Arizona.
I probably would have taken Kansas before watching them last night, but now I'm on Arizona. They look like a mess last night. I know the love letter to the fans, but he's 2-0 since the love letter. But I gotta take Arizona here. They just look much better second half part of the season.
Yeah, I agree. Colby Dan, great job, Colby. Sports Gambling Podcast Network is the College Basketball Experience Podcast. I'm sure we'll do it again soon.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of thoughts.
18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live, Game Day here on the grid. Scott and Joe, hour number one. Thanks again, Colby Dent, for joining us with some college basketball insights, as he always does. So, back to the we mentioned in the break there. DePaul's back up 10 over Creighton. Still plenty of time, nearly 8 minutes, but time is starting to wind down a little bit there. They're the number 2 seed in the Big East. They're going to get an at-large bid, but still, to have DePaul at a neutral site, be able to beat Creighton if it really does happen. Yeah, and now you're getting Creighton at plus 255. They made a little bit of a run, Joe, but they never got it back to even or down 1 or 2. And that was as a consensus. Even Colby said it, and you said it, and I said it as well. If I was going to choose one out of the two, Creighton was going to be the one. Yet, oddly enough, or it figures, I suppose, Louisville, which was down double digits against Stanford, has come back. And they've tied it at 2, or tied it at 62. So they're now a 4.5-point favorite. So that should have been the one. Hopefully you played both, but, Louisville is the one that's actually come back, and now you can hedge if you want.
Yeah, it's really surprising here. You look at that first half, and DePaul just dominated. 36 points out of DePaul in the first half, 21 points only for Creighton. So you would think even if DePaul put up that many, Creighton should be able to get the points on DePaul. I didn't expect the lack of shooting there in that first half for Creighton. But what we've seen in the second half is they've actually come out in the second half. They put up 23. So more points with 7 minutes left than they got in that full first half. And then we've seen them hold DePaul to 18. So, Scott, it might be just a steady race here to the finish at plus 255. I don't know. Something's telling me Creighton will have it at the end of the day.
I hope so. I got him in an 18, or is it 17? Hold on. Parlay, your money line par. I forgot about that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams, pays basically even money, a little bit better. I already got Duke, I got New Mexico, and I got Houston already winning. I got Purdue and Clemson, St. Joe's, which is up big, and then Creighton. So I did not think Creighton minus 880 was going to lose this game today. I still can't believe it. I still would take one more if I had it. I won't double down or triple down because we told you to take them before. But you're right. I think something. They have to. They just have to. So maybe now I'd grab the 4.5. But I'm thinking if they make a run, then they make a run and they come all the way back and win versus losing by 2, 3, or 4. So. Points still coming in tech. By the way, the Illinois game ended at 200, 106.94. Is it 106.94 or 104.96? So 200 points they had in that game. Wow. And you're getting a big number with Texas Tech Baylor, though it slowed down a little bit. 68-61, minute 43 left in regulation. It's going to go over the original number, 141.5, but we were seeing 170s or 169.5, I think it was. Now it's down to 161.5. So the scoring has slowed up just a little bit in the second half between those two teams.
Yeah, I'm shocked at how many points we actually have on the board between those two. Scott, and I'd look at the under. I just don't see it continuing at this pace, continuing to see these teams shooting so well. So I'll take the under 161.5 alive right now with Stanford and Louisville. Louisville has taken that lead now, 64. Actually, Stanford just took the lead back, 65-64 here. If you didn't get Louisville before, I want to jump in right now. You got to lay that 1.5 when you were getting them with great plus money. But otherwise, what else is making your radar right now? We're still seeing a high scoring game between Mississippi State and Missouri, but that total's dropped quite a bit. It's dropped about 10 points here. It was like right around 166.5. 34-36 for Missouri taking the lead right now. Back to that original total, 156.5, Scott. I think the original total was good to the over. If it's starting to get up by about 10 points, I wouldn't touch it, though.
NBA is a decent little play. The Detroit Pistons down 6 against the god-awful Washington Wizards. Midway through the third quarter, 83-77. Pistons laying now only 3.5. They're still the favorite, but at 3.5, little juice minus 136 now. But bottom line, they're going to win. They can't lose at home. Now, this is at home. If it was on the road, maybe not. But Detroit, fighting for playoff positioning in the Eastern Conference. I mean, Washington has got no incentive to win these basketball games. I would think, Detroit laying even 3.5. I wish it was like 2.5. That extra bucket there. But I'm going to take the Pistons laying 3.5, Joe, right now. At home, they're not losing to Washington, and I'll take my chances that they actually cover the spread.
Okay, I like where you're going to go there. We are seeing the Lakers battling it out with the Milwaukee Bucks, 71-63 right now. Luka did hit the court tonight. He was questionable. We know LeBron James is out of the lineup. Luka's having a solid night. He's already put up 29 points out there, Scott. His live totals jumped to 46.5. One player I looked at was Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves, I believe, for his points, rebounds, and assists was coming in right around 30.5. Now he's already put up 13 points on the board, so that total's gone to 22.5. The points scared me probably the most. His rebounds currently is sitting at 4 rebounds, so that's moved to 6.5. And his assists with Luka out there, I love the assists for Austin Reeves. Only 2 assists though. I'm shocked by that. 4.5 is a live number for that assist prop. -128 to the over though. Scott, do you like anything for Austin Reeves, or do you like Luka in this situation, especially with the Lakers down right now, 71-63?
Yeah, that's where I was gonna go. They only offer you 1 step up, meaning that his number is 46.5. They're giving you 50 points or more at +154, but they're not giving you 55 or 60 or anything else above the 50 points. Only that 1 step, like I said. He's got 29. It's at halftime. I mean, it's 134 points at halftime, for goodness sakes. So clearly these two teams are going to be going up and down the court. Can they get 21 more? You said it, Joe. They're trailing. If they were leading, maybe a different story. But I would take a flyer Luka to go for 50 tonight. I think he realizes he's got to be the man. This is what I was expecting the other day when he didn't step up against Brooklyn. Whereas maybe now he's realizing, all right, it's on my shoulders. So I'll go Luka 50 points tonight at +154.
Ooh, I like it. I'm gonna tell you on that. Bulls, can the Bulls pull off the win? They're down right now, Scott. They're down by a point to the Nets. I like the Bulls.
I didn't understand that line at all. Basically, pick them at home against Brooklyn. Very weird.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of thoughts.
18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The 2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live, Game Day on the Grid, closing out hour number 1. You know what time it is, our Black Cloud Play of the Day. Ah, yes, man, we have been on fire. Another winner yesterday as we hit with over Montana, Northern Colorado, as we will search high and low for the best play of the night. Over 146.5, a sail by. It hit over 160 points. It was a no-brainer. Nice to get those plays every once in a while. So 3-0 this week, 12-1. Our last 13 Black Cloud plays. So let's keep it rolling tonight. It's not about what you've done. It's about what you will do for me today. Okay, with that said, we're going to go to the college basketball hardwood where it's been real kind to us with the Black Cloud, Joe. And I tell you, I do like this one a lot. Purdue versus USC. It's basically a home game for Purdue. It's in Indianapolis. It's not their home court, but it is in Indianapolis, and that's where Purdue is located as far as Indiana is concerned. So I know they're going to play well. It's whether USC will carry its end of the bargain. They beat Rutgers, scored a ton of points, albeit going to overtime, but they still put 90-plus points on the board. I'm going to go over there, as you see, over 148.5 USC Purdue. Might be up to 149 on FanDuel, but Purdue 21-17 over USC, even a better 25-9 over their last 34 games dating back to last season. Purdue, they're going to need to score 70 points, right? I think both teams are going to have to score 70 to get to 149, 150, right? So Purdue has scored 70 in 10 of its last 12 games. They're getting 70 tonight, basically, at home, right? How about USC, Scott? USC has scored 70 or more points in 13 of its last 17 games. Pretty good ratio. They played once before today. Regular season game, Purdue beat USC 90-72. That's 162 points. It's not even close to the number that they're giving us here. I don't know how this one stays under 148.5, 150, whatever number you end up getting. I think this has got at least 155 points. I think Purdue actually scores 80, to tell you the truth, and I think USC will hit the 70 mark. So Black Cloud play of the day, over 148.5, 149.5, USC versus Purdue.
That's a fantastic Black Cloud tonight, Scott. I love it. You're looking at two of the top three-point shooting teams in the Big Ten, and I think they come out and they get those threes. We're also looking at USC on this off that crazy game. I think tired legs will come into play, which will allow Purdue to put up a ton of points in this one. They've got a team total of 79.5. I already hit that to the over, but seeing that your Black Cloud's on the full game over, I'm going to have faith in that because your Black Cloud is being so hot right now, Scott. I'll take the full game to the over as well. So I love where you're going with this one.
All right, there you go. So they tip off in a little bit. Keep your fingers crossed. We should. It's life is easy when things that happen that are supposed to happen actually happen. It's when the other goofiness, when USC does runs out of gas because they're tired or distracted or whatever. There's no fouling in the end, and Purdue wins 80-55, and the game goes under. It's not supposed to. It's supposed to go over. Kentucky, Oklahoma is another one, Joe, where I do like the over on that one. I don't quite understand why that line is dropped to 159.5. I mean, Kentucky's is a monster over team. 19-14 over. Oklahoma's a monster over team, 20-13 over. They played early this year. It was 83-82, 165 points. So it's not well past the 159.5, but it's obviously past the one, and you weren't getting fouling in the end. That was a close, bucket beater game. So I like that one as well tonight.
Yeah, my only concern there comes with, is Oklahoma going to be able to shoot the threes? Because we look at Kentucky and how strong that defense can be against those shots from downtown, and they come out nice and strong, holding opponents to only shooting 30.4% from deep. So I do think it has to go over that number, Scott, but I think it's going to give us a little bit of stress watching it play out.
Yeah. DePaul can't miss. It's unbelievable. I watched this dopey team. This thing was 4-16, Joe. 4-16 in the Big East. This is like Villanova, Georgetown in the championship game back in the 80s there. They're shooting 50% from three. 9 of 8. Every shot they throw up, I turn around, I got the game on, is going in. I mean, it's just, they're shooting better from three than they are for the entire game. Only 49% from twos and threes. So it's just like they can't miss. They're back up 9 with just under 3 minutes left. Amazing.
It's like we're going to get a DePaul win. DePaul winning this? Wow.
That's going to ruin a lot of parlays. Going to ruin a lot that I have too. So, all right, Endgame Live, hour number 2, coming up next.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of thoughts.
18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
It's hour number 2 of our 2-hour extravaganza. Welcome back in-game live game day on the grid on this Thursday evening. Scott Wetzel, Joe Mann for another hour. It'll be Cam Stewart, Gabe Morency at the top of next hour. They'll take you over the next 2 here on the grid. Full slate of action as we're watching college basketball. We got a couple of upsets in the making, including a monster one in the Big East, and then not a bad one in the ACC as well. We got a little NBA. We got some hockey stuff that we'll get to this hour. So busy hour number 2 for sure, Joe. Keeping an eye on the DePaul game against Creighton. Creighton's cut the lead. I say that. They did. They cut the lead, which means they're trailing, believe it or not, to god-awful DePaul. DePaul 62-54, minute 48 left. They've cut the lead to 8. They were down double digits a moment ago. 30-1 if you think they can come all the way back, which is interesting. But for the new viewers, new listeners, what do you got on your plate tonight?
Tons on the plate here, Scott. I just want to mention the fact anyone that didn't see those lines coming into it, that Creighton was a 12-point favorite coming into this game. So that's crazy as Creighton's leading this one 54-62. DePaul?
Yep.
Yeah, DePaul leading this 62-57. So I can't believe Creighton was that 12-point favorite. So It's crazy. I've got a ton of action happening out there on the ice, but also in these college basketball games. I did look at Mississippi State and Missouri over that original total. It's right around that number now, as we're seeing 157.5. So that is where I'd jump. I'd look at that one. I've got some later games coming up here as well. And then I rode with Stanford plus the 10.5. It looks like Louisville pulled it off, Scott. That was one where they were down. I'm seeing a final score here, 75-73. So if you jumped on Louisville when they were down, 10 points, 11 points, Scott?
Yeah.
You definitely want the money.
How about that? I think they hit either a buzzer beater because that was tied at 73 moments ago. And you're right, 75-73. They're showing the final there. Louisville wins. They advance on in the ACC tournaments. Let's see what happened. Made a jumper. Yeah, jumper at the buzzer. Chucky Hepburn. How about that? Puts Louisville into the next round. Yeah. So, all right. So that was one of the two. We told you, Louisville was down big. Grab them. They come through. Now can we get, Creighton down 5, 62-57. You said a minute 26 left. Don't have to foul. Just put. They got the ball too. Oh, at least on my TV screen, which I know is a minute and a half behind. So, not giving up hope just yet, Joe. Not giving up hope just yet. Little hockey. We haven't talked too much hockey tonight, oddly enough, with all the college basketball stuff. Great slate of games. Probably the marquee game of the of the night. Florida now leading Toronto 3-1. They were down 1-0. And now they're up 3-. I think they were down. They were down 1-0. Now they're up 3-1 early third period. Ton of goals in Ottawa, Bruins and Senators. It's 5-3 Ottawa leading there. Philadelphia, Tampa Bay still tied 3-3. How about St. Louis getting 3-1 at Pittsburgh? 12 minutes left, down 3-2. What was on your hockey plate tonight?
Oh, so much on my plate tonight. This is a really interesting matchup between the Blues and the Penguins. The Blues fighting their way back. Binghamton versus Jari. And the scary thing coming into this one, while Jari doesn't have great numbers on the season, he's been fantastic. Versus the St. Louis Blues, especially at home, he's yet to lose a game in Pittsburgh versus the St. Louis Blues. So I was very cautious with that one. I did take the game under 5.5. It doesn't look like that is going to hit here. We've got 12 minutes to sweat this one out. It's a 3-2 style game here with the Pittsburgh Penguins leading this game. I had Tampa in the first period on the puck line. That didn't come around because we did see both teams scoring in the first period, but it was nicely riding the over between the Ottawa Senators and the Boston Bruins. Now, Ottawa up 5-3. The team that I thought would win this game is leading, so it's hard to jump in live on anything right now. Laying the 2.5, I don't hate because you look at the Ottawa Senators, they are fighting in the Atlantic to get a playoff spot. So I do think they walk away with the win. And I think it's the same with the Florida Panthers. I just don't trust the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I think the Florida Panthers here will win this game. Now, can Toronto get it within a goal? And you can grab them actually plus 2.5 at minus 115. I wouldn't do it. I do think we're going to see that lockdown on the defensive side here for the Florida Panthers. This is one of those games where we've seen Florida score in the first, 2 in the second here, and I expect that defensive lockdown now. So I would look at this one to the under, but they're giving us a 6.5, Scott, at minus 170. I want a 5.5. I'd take it to the under 5.5 in this.
Yeah, that's where I would go as well. I don't, when Florida has a 2-goal lead, boy, I bet you can count on one hand how many times they lose games and how much they turn into shootouts and everything else, right? So they're basically going to shut it down. So right now it's under 6.5 minus 170. Oh, he hit a 3. How about that? Creighton tied it up on my screen. Final seconds. Maybe going to overtime. Timeout. What's funny is they were 30-1 there for a second. It was only up there for literally 5 seconds, before Creighton started scoring some more points. But you had a chance to get Creighton down 10 at 30-1. So what was weird, Joe, is at corner of my eye when you were talking, Creighton had the ball right down 3, and they were fiddling around. They couldn't get anything going, and few coaches do this. So I give the Creighton head coach credit. So he calls a timeout because he sees his team is all in disarray. But just before he called the just after he called the timeout, kid hits the 3. So they waved the 3 off, obviously, because the coach called the timeout. Sorry, coach. So but they end up hitting a 3-pointer anyway. So 15 seconds left or so. DePaul with the ball, tie score. more than likely either go into overtime or the ball hits a jumper at the buzzer. We will see.
What do you think, Scott? It's a coin flip. Where are you going? Heads or tails?
I know what's going to happen. I got Creighton on the money line. You know what's going to happen. DePaul's going to hit a shot here. He's going to get fouled. There's no way I'm going to overtime. No way. So, yeah.
15 seconds.
You don't even have to ask. I know exactly. I don't have that kind of luck. No way. I get the luck that will get me back into it, so the pain is that much deeper when they lose again, rather than just losing by 10 and being disgusted. That's not enough. We got to twist the knife in there just a little bit more, Joe. Let's have Creighton come all the way back and tie and renew Scott's hopes for his 17 parlay. I don't teach him to put a 17 parlay in.
So let's do this. You watch it out on your TV. I know you're, 30 seconds behind on your TV. Don't look at the score here. Don't look at anything on your app. I know it's going to be hard. Let's talk some hockey. You watch this last little bit, and then we'll see the live reaction of what actually happened, Scott, because I want to see that with you.
All right.
Don't you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So Pittsburgh did score. Penguins scored again. So much for that little hunch on St. Louis down 3-2. Now they're down 4-2. This goofy Pittsburgh Penguins team can't do anything but win until, I start playing against them all the time thinking they're done. But, they're going to pull off 2 straight wins here, beating Vegas the other day. All right, final seconds. Yeah, they actually had a red of play. Nothing. Ooh, we're going to overtime.
There we go.
We're going to OT. We got a shot. How about that?
They gotta win.
They were down 10 with about 2 minutes left. Oh, that's why DePaul is 4-16 in Big East play. You can't hold on to a freaking 10-point lead. Can you imagine having DePaul on the money line right now?
Oh,
I don't think Creighton's going to come all the way back to cover the spread if they were to win, but man.
Watch them come back and cover that original spread, Scott. That'd be nuts.
That would be tough.
It is March Madness time. You never know.
I tell you before, there should be a caveat. Some site, FanDuel, DraftKings, whatever, is going to offer you at least your money back if you lose a bet in overtime. You should have that. Jeff Dawson coming up next.
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live, Game Day on the Grid. Scott and Joe, hour number 2, NBA, NHL, college basketball. Ah, yes, a full slate of action on this Thursday evening. Joining us now to discuss it, hand us out some winners, our good buddy Jeff Dawson, EastCoastSportsInvestors.com, EastCoastSportsInvestors.com. What's going on, Jeff? I'm sweating this. I don't know what you had, Creighton and DePaul. I can't believe it, but we got DePaul and Creighton in overtime, thanks to DePaul blowing a 10-point lead. Can the Blue Jays at least get a win? I don't care about covering. I got them in a 7-18 parlay on the money line.
I had Creighton first half -7, and that's one of those thanks for playing you knew early. They couldn't throw it in the ocean if they were on a boat in the middle of the Atlantic. The same as Boise State I had in the first half. They were and then big second half there, of course. So the hardest part right now, Scott, I think in these conference games is not only looking at the numbers, but which teams are going to be up? Who's really fighting? Who thinks they're already in and kind of can get a couple extra days rest? So there's a little extra work needed to be here. I think Creighton will find a win this game, but hats off to DePaul. Great 40 minutes, that's for sure.
Yeah, we are seeing Creighton up by a couple points right now in overtime. But what did you think of that earlier game, double overtime there between Texas and Texas A&M? Was that a case where Texas just needed that win so bad and they just found a way?
Texas was a big play for us yesterday. Again, a team outside looking in. You kind of got to win a couple of these games and then hope you're at the mercy of the committee right there. So, again, big win for them today. I don't know who they have next on deck, but, again, that overtime, that sense of urgency leaned to the Longhorns, Joe, and they found a way to win, and then who knows what happens tomorrow.
Got some great games getting underway here shortly, Jeff. Some underway already, including Purdue, USC. We love the over here. Black Cloud play of the day. It's 10-7 early on, 4.5 minutes in. Purdue's laying 11.5 over under 151.5. Your initial thoughts on that one?
Yeah, an overnight number of 9, Scott, and then it got ballooned to, where am I seeing here? Some 10s.5. I like the Purdue side here. If I was to dip my toes on the USC side, it would only be in that first half there. Big was a double overtime last night against a feisty Rutgers team. So again, sea legs, double overtime, now a rested Purdue team. I do think there'll be a lot of scoring here, and I expect Purdue kind of to flex their muscles in the second 20 minutes here.
Did you do anything with the matchup, Nevada versus Colorado State? Now going into the day, Nevada was about a 5.5-point dog coming into this. We got a live spread of 7.5 and a total of 138.5.
On paper, Joe, this looks like a layup for Colorado State. It does. When you look at the Ken Palm, when you start, really cranking out these numbers here, an overnight number of 4.5, 5.5 with a 137. So I guess you're looking at a Nevada side. Can they get 60? If this game is played at a higher pace game, I don't think that they're going to be able to hang with Colorado State here. I like Colorado State here. I don't like the 5.5, though, full game here. If I was looking to get involved in Colorado State, I would have been looking more on the initial pre-flop and their team total there, Joe.
How about what do you do with Kansas, Jeff? I don't know. I bet on this team, they get blown out. I bet against the team that they win at home. I mean, it's just amazing the games that they're supposed to win, they don't, and vice versa. They're getting 2.5 against Arizona. from what we've seen, well, I'll leave it up there. What are you doing with Arizona would have against Kansas? Because I don't know.
Scott, you're not alone. You're like the rest of the world here. We would have been very rich if we played Kansas at home this year and then just bet against them every game on the road.
Yeah.
They've been putrid. I think they were 3-point favorites, 3.5-point favorites on Saturday. They found a way to win and cover. The funny thing in this game, guys, is overnight it was a pick 'em. And then the public just says, you're going to give me Arizona here at a pick 'em? And it skyrocketed to high as 3. There is 3.5 right now on DraftKings. A 155, now a 152.5. First one to 76 wins this game. I actually like Kansas here, guys. So that probably means Arizona wins by 20. But I'm going to take the 3.5 here.
Okay, I like the look, 3.5 with Kansas. Is there any other dogs that are really sticking out to you on tonight's slate? We've got like Oklahoma plus 6.5 versus Kentucky. SMU, can they hang with that defense versus Clemson? What have you got for us for a dog tonight?
I had Oklahoma yesterday, their team total over, and they ended up scoring 81 and beating Georgia. It looked like most of the world was on Georgia here. This line opened at 6, is now 6.5. Under over was 164.5, now 159. I think Kentucky wins this game. We got Kentucky at team total over 83.5. I think Kentucky can get to 85, 86, maybe 87-ish. So that was our side on that one. As for a dog, Joe, there's really not a lot of dogs to look at. I'll go deep here. UTSA plus 5 against East Carolina tonight. It opened at 3, was a 151, now a 147. I think the Roadrunners can cover this game, and I sprinkled a little beer and pizza money on the money line here, hoping for a shocker.
All right. How about just the philosophy, Jeff? We don't have that much time, unfortunately, but just the philosophy of betting against teams that won like bubble matchup, like Texas today. They're facing Tennessee, getting 9.5 tomorrow. Like they accomplished what they needed to. They won a game, and now they think they're in.
You know, when it's in the hands of the committee, if you think you're in, you probably got to win one more game. So again, it's going to be real hard to beat Tennessee tomorrow. You know, you got to win the first half and hope to pray that you can win the second half. Tennessee, great defense here. So if they think they got enough to get in, they got to win one more. I would lean Tennessee tomorrow in a rout.
Yeah, I just think a team thing. BYU's another one against Houston. Maybe they think they're off the bubble. So, Jeff, great job as always, my friend. EastCoastSportsInvestors.com.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of
15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
the two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live, Game Day on the Grid. Again, thanks to Jeff Dawson, EastCoastSportsInvestors.com, his website. You can go there and get all his other plays. So I do appreciate having a couple of minutes with Jeff. Back to the college basketball board here, Joe, before we go, maybe a little NBA, a little hockey. Some other games, I will say Creighton by 3. They were up 8 a moment ago. Now it's down to 3 with 49 seconds left. So we're still got to sweat this one out. Mississippi State, Missouri, not bad. 47-45, decent little pace. Sitting on the over. It's 151.5, a little bit behind what we need, which was 157.5. But okay, at least we're not too far behind. Wish there was a little more separation between the two schools as far as I was hoping it was going to be a 5 or 7 point lead, but 2 point lead. Okay, no big deal there. Colorado State early on, 19-16 against Nevada. That was one of our trend plays. And then Purdue early on, 19-16 against USC. Pretty good start. That's our Black Cloud play. It's up to 154.5. We got 33 points, and we've yet to reach the halfway point of the first half. So that's, looking halfway decent. So far, so good with some of those plays, Joe.
Yeah, they are looking good out there. I still like the over in that one with Nevada and Colorado State because I think we're going to see Nevada be able to hang tight in this. So 142.5, that live number. USC and Purdue, I'm hoping at some point USC can go on a little bit of a run here and take a lead so that we're getting some more, not a double digit line here on Purdue because they're still 10.5 point favorite up 1. So we knew we wouldn't get a quick movement in that line, but I'm hoping, Scott, I would love to see Purdue drop to 6.5 point favorite, even though I do think they can still win this game and cover. It's just, I don't love laying double digits, especially when these games are so important right now.
NBA board, Luka's got 38. Your boy Austin Reeves has 20. And they're giving you 23.5 now with Reeves, which is less than what it was 24 before. They're in the third quarter. Here's the only downside: they're down 20, but they're end of 3 now. I think they'll keep these guys in at least one more run with them, right? I mean, it's the NBA. The teams do come back from 20 down even in the fourth quarter. So I think they got at least 5-6 minutes.
Right? Take Luka out if you want, but leave Reeves out there. Yeah. He has to play, right? Because who else are you going to turn to? Right? How deep on the bench do you really want to go? Right?
Yeah.
You shouldn't.
I tell you, they're ruining my over Lakers. Down to 2. Here we go. 73-71. I know you guys know. 8 seconds left. Let's see what happens. DePaul down 2 with the ball. Oh, no. He hit a shot. Unbelievable. We're going to double overtime. Are you kidding me?
They're torturing you.
Timeout. No. 1.3 seconds left.
Wow.
Neither one of these two teams, and I'll tell you, you get to wonder, who's sitting there in the wings is Villanova and UConn, and they're like, it's 9. We're approaching 9:30, and unless something crazy happens in the final second, we're going to be going to a double overtime. These guys aren't going to get out of court until after 10 at this point. I mean, that's not super late, but that's, the hazards of having, 5 games on one court in one day, trying to squeeze the ball in. You're going to get one of these goofy games. So, all right. So we'll see what happens in the final 1.3 seconds. Unlike in the NBA, I'm not sure why they do this, but NBA and women's basketball, you call timeout, you can move the ball to half court. Men's college basketball, you don't. So they got to inbound it, and they got to throw the ball 90 feet, Christian Leitner. And you don't want to throw the ball out of bounds, otherwise DePaul will get the ball, in the front court. So, like I said, chances halfway decent. We're going to double overtime, but we'll keep you posted. All right. So Lakers down 20 against Milwaukee. Yeah, they're blowing our second half, over under. Pistons have come back. They've taken the lead. We talked about that. Not quite as much as I had hoped, but they lead 119-116 over the Wizards with 3:22 left. And I'm surprised they're giving you 3.5 right now. Little juice minus 144, but I don't think Detroit's losing to Washington at home. So
no, they can't. And how are the Bulls going to lose to the Nets tonight? Come on, the Bulls are plus 240 on the money line right now. Down 72 to 64. Scott, what's happening in Chicago?
I don't know. They've been playing so well. They're 5-5, which is good for them. They've won 3 in a row. They're trying to clinch a play-in spot, and they're losing to the Brooklyn Nets at home. I hate very strange.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live, Game Day on the Grid. Scott and Joe for another half hour or so. Stewart coming up in about 10 minutes. We'll put the college basketball aside. Nothing has changed. They've yet to start the double overtime there with UConn and Creighton at Madison Square Garden in New York. So take a peek, Joe, at the NHL. A pretty decent slate of games. We touched on it a little bit earlier. Not a whole lot actually has changed, believe it or not. But Florida still leads Toronto. It's 3-2 now with 4.5 minutes left. All these games, the early games anyway, winding down. Ottawa 5-3 over Boston. Philadelphia and Tampa Bay still tied at 3. I was tied at 3 entering the third period. No scoring in that one. Final seconds, Pittsburgh holding on to a 4-3 lead over St. Louis. Edmonton has just taken a 2-1 lead over the Devils early third. And the Rangers 1-0 over Minnesota at Pick'em. at Minnesota. Rangers lead 1-0. Minnesota's now plus 255. I tell you, they're really they're jumping off the Minnesota Wild bandwagon. They really are, and they can't. They refuse to get off the Ranger bandwagon for whatever reason, even though they're playing lousy hockey, Joe.
Oh, I'm off the Minnesota Wild bandwagon as well, Scott. This is a team that's struggling to score. We're still seeing Kaprizov out of the lineup, and you're relying on Matt Boldy and Hartman to come out and be able to get things done, and they're just not able to put those goals on the board. Their defense has been strong, and they played solid at home, but I just can't get behind them. I do think the Rangers are the right side, and we probably stay under that total of 3.5 because I don't see the Wild scoring in this game. When we look at the Edmonton Oilers versus the New Jersey Devils, I did think the Devils were alive at home. They opened up the scoring tonight. Then we had Edmonton answer back for the next 2 goals. That was Evan Bouchard for the goal on that last one, giving Edmonton that 2-1 lead. I do think the Devils at plus 350, definitely worth a look in this matchup. I just look at the style of hockey Edmonton's been playing as of late. And the Devils are a scrappy team. We know plagued with injuries right now. No Dougie Hamilton, no Jack Hughes, but still a team that can get back into this game. Jasper Bratt has been playing hot as well as Timo Meier. So I can take a shot on the New Jersey Devils at plus 350, Scott, on that money line.
All right. I like that. I like them coming in. Edmonton has struggled recently, 3-10, 3-7, their last 10, 1-5, their last 6 road games. They just really haven't put it together since the All-Star break, and they may eventually, and I'm sure they will, but it hasn't happened yet. And I agree with the Rangers. That just had sucker written all over it at Pick'em. I'll get Minnesota, Pick'em at home, but man, it's been a struggle for them. And don't think they're going to come back. The 4-17-2. I guess that's not horrible, but when trailing after 2, and they're in the second period now, 4-17-2. So they either get it done early on or they don't get it done at all. So hoping for a miracle in this. You know what? They just took it off the board. Oh, empty netter. That's why. Pittsburgh scored. All right, so they're going to win 5-3. All of a sudden, the Penguins are playing good hockey. Maybe just playing for nothing. Maybe just they realize trade deadline passed. This is who we are. But this is going to be their second straight home win over a good opponent.
Yeah, it's crazy what we're seeing out of the Pittsburgh Penguins. You would think this team would just kind of shut it down. Where has this been all season? Because this is a team that in that first period was coming out nice and strong, but then they were just collapsing for the rest of the games and not getting those wins out there as their defense and goaltending really did have those struggles. But we saw in this matchup Tristan Jarry coming in to goal for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and he really has been strong for them versus the St. Louis Blues, which is really interesting to see. Goaltenders that have that ability to beat certain teams, and I don't know what it is, if they just get that confidence maybe under their belt, Scott, after beating them so many times. Tristan Jarry is now 5-0 versus the St. Louis Blues at home for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Like, he's outstanding in net in Pittsburgh versus them. So it's good to see, even though he gave up a couple goals. We saw Binghamton get pulled out of this game for St. Louis. Joel Hofer come in. So nice win there by the Pittsburgh Penguins.
All right. We got the Detroit Pistons down 1 final seconds at home against Washington. Wow. 126-125. They just took it off the board. I was going to say they were offering you the Pistons plus 150, but they just took it off the board, and I'm guessing that won't pop back up with 41 seconds left. But that would be a bad loss. Lakers down 16. Let's see if our boys have done any scoring of late. Player points. Let's see if they got Lucas still in the game. Reeves has got 28. So, right, we hit the Austin Reeves one. Yeah, he had 20. I figured you're right. I mean, someone's got to be in there. So if they're going to take Luka out, which clearly they've done, it's Austin Reeves. You don't have to worry about him. So he stayed in there, and now they're giving you – he's got 28, and they're giving you 32.5. I don't know if I would do that. Were they down 16, 8 minutes left?
Yeah.
5 more points, maybe.
Big night, Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really good game because it's points free. You're going to go 35 points? I would look at him. He's going to continue. Coming into tonight, his points, rebounds, and assists was right around 30.5. I don't think it got up to 32.5, but it was right in there. But with 28 points, he's got 6 rebounds and 3 assists as well. So no matter where that number closed, you did already cash his points, rebounds, and assists. But I could see him going all the way up to 35 points, Scott. right? Plus 220.
Yeah, if they're not going to have Luka in there, let me just double check and see Luka's minutes just to see if it's changed from the third quarter. Luka still only has 38 points. Yeah, he hasn't played in the fourth quarter, so he's got 32 minutes. I don't think he has anyway. So Austin Reeves, 10 of 16, 4 of 6 from 3-point land. Yeah. He went a little flyer. His number is 32.5, so you can go. So you need obviously 33. If you get to 35, one more bucket, you get plus 220. So if you're going to go over 32.5, you might as well go 35 or more. It's one more bucket. So and that's a big difference between laying odds and getting plus 220. But all right, Lakers down 16. Nets still leading the Bulls by 8. That line to me, Joe, it was 1.5 to start the game. And why were the Chicago Bulls fighting for a playoff spot, taking on the Brooklyn Nets who stink? Why were they, only a 1.5 point favorite? And they've trailed basically from start to finish. Close game anyway, 81-73. Nets lead, 4 minutes left to go in the third quarter.
Yeah,
I'd
you look
stay
at
away
this
from the
third.
game.
Yeah, I would too, because you look at this third quarter, they've already allowed the Nets to put 16 points on the board. They've only put 11, and you look for teams coming out of the half to really come out with that momentum. I hope you guys jumped on the New Jersey Devils at that plus 350. They just tied it up right now. Jesper Bratt, I believe, was able to get the goal, Scott. So we got a 2-2 game here. That's going to really significantly move that line. We're now seeing minus 111 for the Devils. So I really hope you guys got the plus 350. If you want to come back, if you got the plus 350 on the Oilers, you can get them now at minus 115, and you're going to win no matter what happens there.
Very nice. Very nice. Yep, that's what I would do. Hedge the other way to the point where you're going to be a winner on either side. Very nice. Overtime they go. Tampa Bay, Philadelphia Flyers. Final seconds, and I think it just ended. Florida did beat Toronto 3-2, so they hold on. Game goes under. How about that? Rangers still 1-0. And then our favorite little college basketball game, DePaul and Creighton. Creighton now leading 81-78. They were down a point a moment ago. 54 seconds left. I think it's going to be DePaul ball, but it's Creighton leading by 3 as we try and hang on with our money line parlay with the Creighton Blue Jays.
We've got so much time, Scott. How is this overtime taking so long for one? 33 seconds I'm seeing now.
Yeah. I'm telling you, UConn and Villanova, they're not starting until after 10 o'clock. Again, it's not super late, but still crazy. Some of the other college basketball, Missouri, Mississippi State, 58-57, 8.5 minutes left, 154. Going to have to sweat that one out, but okay. And then how about the Purdue-USC one? Purdue, look at USC, 25-17. Purdue scoring is stopped. It's at 150.5, still above our number, but interesting. All right, Cam Stewart coming up next here on the Grid.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
Rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of thoughts.
18.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place I promise you, then Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back. In-game live game day here on the grid. Scott and Joe, real quickly. Creighton by 4, 9 seconds left. Looks like that's going to be good. We're in overtime. And the Devils scored again. How about that? Not only did they tie it, they've actually taken a 3-2 lead. So now if you didn't have time to hedge, you're sitting real pretty. So let's talk a little hockey, a little college basketball with our good buddy Cam Stewart, who takes over along with Gabe at the top of the hour. What's going on, Cam? What's on your plate tonight?
Isn't it amazing? The Leafs and Oilers are so similar. Just all they do is give disappointment to their fan base and bettors. I can't. No, the Devils just scored 2. Unbelievable. I did a show earlier today. I'm like, my buddy talked to me. He's like, "Oh, the Oilers are going to win tonight." I'm like, okay, I'll ride your bet. But now I wish I could call them up and say, that team they just drive me nuts. Anyway, tonight, guys, what are we doing here? I don't know what your dark cloud play of the night is, Wetzel, but I always like to know how the weather is right now. Yeah, I always like to know what's going on.
USC.
What is it? What do you got?
Over USC Purdue, 148.5.
I think the Black Cloud's been successful recently, has it not? It's been a very good weather pattern. Yeah,
12-1. Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Well, you better start texting me your dark cloud plays. They sound like rainbows and pots of gold instead of dark clouds. The opposite. Coming up tonight, hockey, guys. I don't know what's going to happen. Joe brought up a great point about Chicago with Spencer Knight. He's been better since this team's been better since he's been there. They've had horrible goaltending for years. He's been great. Florida got rid of a really important piece there, but and SJ Sharkey, this is an interesting game. Do I like the over? Yes, but not at 6.5. This is a game that we're going to play live in there, and I think Chicago actually might be live. They're playing a little bit better. I don't like going against the Sharks, but the Blackhawks have been playing better. Late game tonight, I will take a shot with the Kings against the Capitals. Capitals coming off that 7-4 win over Anaheim. A little bit loose in that game. I think the Kings can buckle down and win this game, and it's very, very short price. College basketball, what do we got going on here? We got, Scotty and Joe, you know me, the dumpster is alive. But I'll tell you, a team that I found in the dumpster that I've turned into, gold at the pawn shop, Cal Poly Slow. Poly Slow, the Mustangs, small play. And they've been, Scott, what's up with these guys? They're on a huge winning streak. What do they got now? 5 or 6 in a row? Like Cal Poly Slow is getting it done. I know. Where's James Young? Riverside, fools. They're playing Riverside in the Big West, but I will take the 4.5. I found 1.5 with Cal Poly Slow, my new friend, because all they do is cover and win outright. I got to ride the hot hand, guys. That's what I got in basketball right now.
I will say Cal Poly, by the way, 1-11 their last 12 against UC Riverside. Not that I want to like
these things. I don't. No. What happened? What was the other team that was like? It was 30. Vermont. Me and Gabe were talking about. They won like 29 or 30 straight against, and then they lost to that team. So I get it. Yeah. I appreciate the guy who bet them 29 times and won money, but I'm just going to take a shot with these hot teams. And we talked about it. Like I took DePaul tonight, and DePaul's just one of those teams. Like that program's been in the dumpster for years, but you talked about it, Wetzel. These are 12.5, 13-point spreads. These teams are here. Yeah. They know it's the end. After this, none of these guys are going to the NBA. They're going to have to join the workforce and get regular jobs and things like this. So they're going to leave it all out in the floor. So kudos to DePaul, and I hope Creighton wins for you guys because a little birdie told me, the Blue Jay told me, you guys have the Blue Jays in parlays. So hopefully we can both hit with those games tonight. Anything live you guys like? I was looking at Mizzou right now. It's a very, very tight game, though. Very tight game. Mizzou is playing. They're up 2 right now versus Mississippi State. They're laying 1.5 right now. I like Missouri. Actually, they're tied. I like Missouri to find a way to win that game.
Yeah, I like that one to the over as well. I think that just is too low. I want to ask you, though, because I know you're riding with Edmonton. Would you jump in live right now? They are plus 450 live on that money line versus the New Jersey Devils. I know you've already got a bet, but if you didn't, would it be a spot you jump?
Yes, Joe. You know me. I just look at those big numbers and go, wow, they can come back. So, yeah, no, the price, they're down a goal. Like, might as well go swinging with the Oilers here. But they're very, very – I don't know what's happened with this team. Like, since this Four Nations, they've just been atrocious. They don't have goaltending. Their best players aren't firing. Draisaitl, he got one tonight, but it's just – I don't know. Like, everyone has these guys as Stanley Cup favorites. I know there's a long way to go till the end of the season, but God, man. Like, Edmonton has showed me nothing. Like, they're just one of these teams. It's like – I don't know, Scott. You know what I mean? They need to have better numbers for me to put. There's other teams in the West that I think I can ride. I know McDavid can turn it up, and tough one, Joe. I was on your Flames last night. They needed that extra point about Gabe's Vancouver Canucks. Yeah, we're on the show on opposite sides. That's never fun. But anyway, at least you got a point out of the deal.
Yeah, at least we got a point, and you've seen Dustin Wolf, how strong he looks in net, so he's definitely the answer for the future. One other question here, Celebrini versus Bedard tonight. Who do you think has the better night? First time ever versus each other.
Good call. I'd go with Celebrini at home. Bedard has been playing a lot better. The Blackhawks have been playing a lot better, but Celebrini, he'll get up for this game too. I found it interesting. I see a 6 out there. Do you guys like the over in San Jose, Chicago at 6? I think these teams, like, they're both not going anywhere. Maybe they open it up and play like a loose hockey game. I'm kind of thinking the over 6 is worth a look with only 18 cents of juice. And as I said before, Kings are going to be my team. NBA, I'm going to find ways to parlay Golden State with some money line. Basically, I got to find something in college basketball and parlay. Don't feel like laying 7.5, but they could kick the Kings' ass tonight.
Yeah, it's up to 8 on FanDuel, as a matter of fact. 233.5 is the total. So we were playing a bunch of props with the Lakers, but they got their butt kicked by Milwaukee, even though Luka went for at least 38. So, but you like Golden State, though, in the game?
I do. I think they're just a hot basketball team right now, right? Sacramento, they're middling. I just think Golden State Warriors are actually, let's call it out for what it is. They're getting kind of scary. Great. I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, they're putting money in people's pockets. Like, oh, the Warriors, there's so many other teams. Well, don't sleep on these guys. They have pedigree. They got great players. They got guys who can deliver, money players. So I wouldn't sleep on the Golden State Warriors at all. I expect them to win tonight. Not sure if they're going to win by 8 or more, Scott, but definitely parlay material.
By the way, how's your balls in the water bet on golf doing so
far?
Very
good. A lot of balls in the water. But I like to tell Justin Thomas, thanks for shooting 6 over today. Good work, pal. This guy's going to get me knocked out of my survivor pool. I need a miracle tomorrow.
Oh, no.
I'm raging.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live, Game Day on the Grid. Again, top of the hour, Cam and Gabe take over for the next two here on SportsGrid Radio and TV. All right, last check of the board here. Joe, will start in the NHL. 5.5 minutes left. Devils lead Edmonton 3-2. It is locked. I think I got the game on. They're in a commercial break, so I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe a power play. Rangers still 1-0. You got the two games later on. With Chicago and San Jose, I'm using Chicago in my SGP, so I like them. And then I probably would take a flyer on the Kings as well. Minus only 134. They're great at home. Washington is pretty good on the road. 9-2 their last 11 road games. So it's not like they're, chump change on the road. But give me the LA Kings. They're terrific. 16-4 their last 20 at home. Give me the Kings to win.
Yeah, they've been so strong at home, Scott. I'm on that same game parlay for that one. So I'm on the under 5.5 as the main play. And then I've got points within that parlay. But looking at Chicago versus the San Jose Sharks, I do think this is all about the storyline of Connor Bedard versus Celebrini. The first time these guys are matching up in the NHL, both number one draft picks. So looking at Connor Bedard, we know he's had a little bit of a slump. I think he really gets up to try to show Celebrini what he's got, but Celebrini has been fantastic this year. I think he answers back. So I'm going to play around with both of these guys. Celebrini has 48 points. I do think he can get to 50 points tonight. You can look at Celebrini for 2+ points. You're going to get great plus money. Connor Bedard rolling in here with 52 points, 17 goals, and 35 assists. I'd look at him for 2+ points as well. And I think you can look at Donato to come out to get a point here for the Chicago Blackhawks, and Toffoli to get goal number 25 tonight. I expected him to get in the last game. He wasn't able to get it. So I think it's a really solid way to go. Connor Bedard for the goal, Celebrini for the goal. It's going to be a great night, Scott.
All right. NBA, Luka did come back into the game. In fact, he's got 45 points. How about that? Now, the Lakers are still getting blown out. They're losing by 21 with 2.5 minutes left, so he's probably out now. But he did come back, and he's probably going to finish with 41. Reeves only has the 28, so he didn't score, so no luck there, unfortunately. Bulls cut it a little closer, down 92-89 to the Brooklyn Nets, and then you got the Magic blowing out the Pelicans. Wizards did beat Detroit. That's a bad loss for the Pistons. 129-125. Wow. And you got Kings and Warriors. It's a strange series, that series. Golden State doesn't lose to Sacramento, but they also don't cover against Sacramento. We gave that out earlier, with the Super 5 trends there. Sacramento 15-4 against the spread. Nearly all those are straight up losses, though, but they're 15-4 against Golden State. At Golden State, they're getting 8. That's enough for me to say Golden State probably wins, but I think Sacramento gets the cover.
Yeah, and I'm completely with you on that. I love Sacramento's team total, though. I'm going to take their team total under 113.5. I think that we see the Golden State Warriors defensively really just shut them down in this game. I don't trust them to put a lot of baskets on the board, so I love that look at the under, Scott.
All right. College basketball, Creighton did come back and win by 4. So if you laid the 2.5 or 3.5, you got that covered. And obviously, DePaul ended up covering the original line. But at least Creighton did win, so they keep my SGP, or not my SGP, but my money line parlay alive with 5,000 teams. Other games that we got an eye on, Missouri, they've come back. They lead Mississippi State 71-69, 4 minutes left. We're sitting, the boys on the podcast crew, over 79.5 points for Missouri. The over-under is now 161.5, which is a few points higher than the original game line. So it did come back. They did pick up the pace. If you wanted to hop on before, it was in the low 150s. So keep your fingers crossed on that one. And then we need Dopey Purdue here to pick up the points. All right, they did a little bit. USC leading Purdue 33-30, Joe, with 2 minutes left. We can get this to 70 points. It's not the worst. The over-under is right around where it was to start, 147.5.
Yeah, and I like the live look on Purdue. It's now just shifted to the 5.5 as they're down 33-30. But I'm loving it because we're taking it off the double digits. It was 10.5 coming into this game, and that's what I was looking for in this one, was Purdue to come down. Now, I did take their team total over 79.5, and I know that we've taken so much time off the clock, but I still think they get there. So live team total to the over, I'd still bet on, Scott.
All right. And I do love the over. I think you said you did as well, Joe. Over 160.5 now, Kentucky, Oklahoma. Kentucky's going to go up and down the court. Oklahoma's going to go up and down the court. I do like that one. Great job as always, Joe. We'll do it again tomorrow. Game and Camp take over next here on the Grid.